Islam, 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 Moorish America. Want to rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us come forth with our ancient Comedian adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Ya Allah abnu heru makunet heru. Ya Allah abhet heru. Ya Allah ma'at heru. Ya Allah hotep heru. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herakuti. Ya Allah ahwajeta duty. Ya Allah per im sutek per im heru. Ya Allah bamaduti. Al hajit shepsis rayab to Ali. Amin. Halias, Halias, Halias. And that is the say Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet. O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. Islam, Moorish kin. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. The seven supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assisting Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The Bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a portion of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, You must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature, conforming to his will. Shimotepu Moorish King.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Gratitude to our national assistant grand chief for opening up the way according to law. I am the National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Simeth, and I rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah and the highest honor to our Holy Prophet El Hashari Abdul Ali. I would like to extend honors to all of Act 1 and our theocratic Moorish American government. Honors to our royal apostles, honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag. Honors to all of you for being here in this Moorish Perspective class, and honors to our divine constitution and dialogue. Islam, Islam, Islam. Chapter 48. Holy Instructions of Unity. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion, in what measure seemeth good unto himself. Hath He endowed thee with wisdom? Hath He enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorant for their instruction? Communicated to the wise for their own improvement. True wisdom is less assumed than folly. The wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impatience and to pity their absurdity. Yet be not puffed up in thy own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man filleth his imperfection and is humble. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation. In the shadows dreams of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. He boasteth of attainment in things that are of no worth. But where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he hath no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom, he toileth after folly, and shame and disappointment are the reward of his labors. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvement of the arts is his delight, and their utility to the public crowneth with honor. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he counteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. Islam, Islam, Islam. Today is July 1st, 2023, and welcome to another Moorish Perspective class sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host instructor is our National Assistant in Chief, Dr. Federal Minty and Mohammed Sexuel, with our subject matter coming out of our new chapter of the week, chapter 48, Holy Instructions of Unity, Ayat 1. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion, in what measure seems good unto him. Gratitude to our National Assistant Grantee, Dr. Shuttle Anisi and Mohammed Sexuel, for opening up the way according to law. And gratitude to our National Grant Secretary of the State of Indiana, Dr. Sai Nakanu and L, for taking registration and also reading the chapter of the week. More screen time to check your emails, and please keep your pens and papers on hand. At this time, we'll call to the floor our host instructor, our National Assistant in Chief, Dr. Shuttle Minty of Mohammed Sexuel. Islam, baby.
Islam, can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
So here's the deal.
Gratitude. Hold up, let me. Okay, there we go. Islam, 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 Moorish America. Want to rise upon the seventh again and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you, Moorish kin, to another Moorish Perspectives. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Amohadi Shabazzel. And my ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shedawar Minty El Muhajjid Shepsuel. And we have a grand droid to bring to the manifest, just to bring oneness in relation as it does with unity. And we have been told in many different aspects our Holy Prophet expressed that unity. He talked about salvation, our God, in unity. He also talked about the uniting, of our teachings as it relates to the uniting of the Asiatic nations, the uniting of the Asiatic states. Anytime we think about unity, he talked about the unity of Allah and man, and if you're looking at unity from all of these different standpoints, it don't get no clearer than that when we come to dealing with what we call Tawheed, which is dealing with Islamic aspects of monotheism, the oneness of God. Not only recognizing that there's a oneness of the Creator, but there's a oneness between us, in our unity with the Creator. And we call this unity that which is based upon being united through deific will. And so deific will is truly key if we are to understand what that unity really is. And once we understand that we are one through that deific will, then we can go into the essence of this subject title and really get some understanding. In fact, we're dealing with Ayat 1, on the holy instructions of unity. You see, and it comes out from the beginning letting us know that the gifts of the understanding of the treasures of Allah. We have to understand what gifts are. What are gifts? Well, we know gifts are endowment, so to speak. Gifts are seen as presents, different drawings that had to do with one showing honor, so to speak. These are what gifts are, you know. But when we talk about gifts of the understanding, this goes even deeper because this is letting us know that each and every one of us, not only do we have or do we have in our possession gifts of understanding, but this means that the supreme reality, whatever name you want to put on it, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, nature, God, however you recognize the supreme being, we realize that the gifts of the understanding are of his treasures. You see, the gifts of the understanding are of his treasures. So whatever it is that you have in your consciousness come from the treasures of the all. You see, each and every one of us have a unique gift of the understanding to bring forth to uplift and fallen humanity. And you will hear me saying from time to time that we as a people must learn to govern ourselves, and also we must learn to respect each other's gifts. Because if we respect the source of the gift, then surely by default we should respect, the gifts that come forth, no matter who they come through or who they come from, because they are drawing from that same source. You see, so it is the great God who appoint these special gifts, which are also talents. These are also the saving powers that each and every one of us have been given. We made a mention before of how you have these different expressions in Western cinema, such as your Marvel and your DC comics. And they often have a depiction of superheroes and, people that's supposed to have extraordinary abilities. A lot of time they call them mutants if you were dealing with a show like X-Men or something like that. But nevertheless, all of these things are romanticizing about certain powers in all actuality that each and every human being has within themselves, or a potential that we have within ourselves. Each and every one of us have a particular talent or a gift to be utilized to advance humanity forward. We've been thinking that, certain people have been graced with these types of talents and gifts, and not everybody, but that's not the case. Many are blessed with this same ability. Elon Musk, for example, he the talk of the town right now. He ain't the only one that has a gift to be able to utilize certain information to come up with what he came up with. Tesla wasn't, the only one that was able to demonstrate what he did. In fact, our ancestors had did a lot of this stuff long before the European began to think on it. A lot of them that find this stuff out, for some reason, they are directing you back to the same model of our ancestors, even though you have those in modern time that will tell you that these people were not intelligent enough, they were not advanced enough to produce these different things. Yet if you look in their inscriptions on the wall, which most have become known today as sacred writings, you will see the evidence of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics right there. And yet you will have an Einstein that will be directing you back to a spiritual base. Yes, he made statements that were most definitely on that level. He knew that there was a supreme being greater than him. Same thing has to do with, all of those others that I mentioned. And we can look at those who are here in this modern time and all it is that they have brought forth. And get the same expression, basically. The same expression that all of us have the ability to do what it is that we would seek to do. All we have to do is go within the self, and every mastermind has told us the same thing. Like our brother, everybody crazy about the brother Yehoshua, whom a lot of people call Jesus or Yeshua, Isa, whichever name you want to use. But yet he told the people that greater works will you be able to do. You see, and people haven't been able to tap into these things because they don't understand that the gifts of the understanding and the treasures of the great God lies within their consciousness. And so they have limited themselves because they are so much in awe of what someone else has done. There's nothing wrong with admiring somebody and giving honor where honor is due, but when we lose sight of reality and we go overboard and we start making men, physical men, deities that we bow down to and worship, this is where the conflict come in at. You see, this is where we lose our understanding. You see, and I don't care how much somebody expresses it to me, I understand this out. Well, we say the understanding is the rock upon which man build himself. So if that's the case, and then understanding is also synonymous with gifts or treasures of the great God, I don't care what you call it. Let's just look at it like this. If you were dealing with it from a scientific aspect, everything that the scientists have found now recently, if one were to really look at this, these are treasures that came forth from the secrets, of the Creator. This is not by chance that people all of a sudden started coming across this information and that was it. No, the potential for one to find this information was always there. And it's the same thing when you deal with self. The potential for you to find greatness within you is always there. You take you wherever you go. So if you're busy looking at everything and everybody else outside of the self and you can't see that there's some jewels within your own consciousness, then who fault that is? It has to be yours because you are busy looking at somebody else and you are so busy being in awe. And sometimes some of our people in the world can become envious and very hate-filled when they see somebody else with the knowledge. But the gifts of the understanding of the treasure of God. So if you're going to hate them, then you got to hate your own consciousness because that's where God resides. If you're going to hate them, you got to hate the higher self. If you're going to hate them, you got to hate the supreme being because that's what allowed one to come into that consciousness or that greatness within them. You see? So how can you become envious when you have the same potential within you to do what the average person did? You can think of the greatest inventions in the world, things that were brought on the manifest. And somebody sat down and took out the time to begin to reflect on what was taking place around them, and then they brought greatness out of that. Come on now, let's think about this. We all have the ability to do the same thing. It's just some people move forward because they are of a mindset of what we would call initiation or taking the initiative to do something, you see, or this was just destined for them to come into this supreme reality. It's the same thing when it comes to dealing with this Moorish American government. It's not strange, that we are here. It's not strange that we on the manifest demonstrating what we call self-determination, where we have to determine within ourselves whether we're going to be a nation or not. You see? So we can't even blame the process on nobody else. No, this is all on us. This is what we are here to demonstrate. This is what we here to come forth, and ignite the consciousness of not only ourselves, but those whom we seek to uplift. You see, the young and not yet born, third and fourth generation, as we call it, 3 and 4 is 7. See, we can't expect someone else to do for us what we can do for ourselves. So we have to look within ourselves. That's the whole key. All this God talk and supreme talk of a supreme being has always been above your neck. See, the real Godhead is within your head. That's what a throne room is. And once you understand that you can will anything it is that you want to will into existence. And I don't know about nobody else. A lot of people may think that this is taught, but I know by personal experience that everything it is that I have sought out to accomplish, and I have, chanted as a mantra, so to speak, it is manifested. So, how some people may feel because they ain't seen that manifest, I feel the same way, but from a different aspect. I've seen these things manifest. I've manifested many things. I've seen, as we spoke before, my a very close person, friend to the family's mother on her deathbed, according to Rome. She ain't got but 6 months to live, and the great God Allah gave us that saving power. And I went over there and spoke, divinely, so to speak, in love. And that lady still been here 15 years when they had gave up on her. So that's how I don't need no proof outside of that right there. How is that possible if it ain't a supreme reality? Because all I did is went in there and chanted the truth over while she was laid there in that bed and couldn't get up. That's 15 years ago. Them people say she didn't have but like 6 weeks to live. You see what I'm saying? That ain't no spookism to me. And so it's the same thing when we go into other aspects, of our talents. I've seen when like I was telling my family, my grandson, it was coming on the manifest, and Rome said he gonna be born on the 10th. It was so close to Prophet Noble Drew Ali's birthday. I said, no, he gonna be born on the same day my prophet was born. And lo and behold, my grandson now celebrate his birthday and the prophet's manifestation day. You know what I mean? But doctor them, let them tell it. They was just show he ain't coming for no lesser or no greater than the time that they had given. So to me personally, that's something that I willed. Also, when it come down to dealing with just being able to manifest certain things when it come to even the business aspects of things, you know. But the thing is being patient and allowing the porter's part and self of creativity to expand and open up. Once you're able to speak into the ethers and vibrate the ethers and manifest things, you can't be a person full of doubt, and be a non-believer or infidel or what they call a kafaroon, and think that you're going to manifest something and it's going to come on to manifest. No, you're going to manifest what you think. If you think lowly, then that's what's going to come forth. But if you know for a fact that no matter how it look, the supreme being, the most high, whatever title you want to put on in your own country, it got you. Once you know that right there, family, ain't nothing that can get in the way, what it is that you, even if it looked like a slight delay. Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, stop, worrying about how you going to be saved and just get behind me. And once we able to demonstrate that aspect right there, family, it may be a delay in your eyes on the manifest that this ain't happened yet or that portion ain't happened yet. But just because it ain't happened yet don't mean it won't happen. And then you got to be conscious enough to know that what you have asked for, what you have spoken into being has manifested. Because some people, if they caught up into materialism and things don't go exactly in the descriptive of their mind the way they think it should go, then they thinking that they ain't getting no response. No, the response is already there. You just, were too carnal in the thought to be able to bear witness to the blessing on the manifest, and you'll give it away. You'll give it right, to somebody else, so to speak. You see? A lot of our people don't know. I'm going to give you some examples. Because we hear a lot of negativity when it comes to dealing with, people who bear the name Muslim, the people who bear the name Moors. But we have not heard a whole lot of the greatness, and certain things that have been created and invented by the Moors. Now, we all know about a few things. But these are different saving powers or different talents that people were able to come up with. So I just want to mention a few. You see, when we say Moors, we talking about our people. We always talk about the amazing things that were created, by the Negro or the black man or the colored man. But we're going to talk about, these things that were invented by the Moors. And I'm just adding this in to let you know how the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of the great God. So this is the Most High expressing himself through your consciousness. That holy breath being active and not passive, working through a man. We ain't telling you to worship nothing outside of yourself. We ain't talking about nothing spooky, family. We talking about right there above your consciousness. And we don't have no problem if you call it Yahweh. We don't have no problem if you say Yahweh, because we know, according to the language, when you get into long words, or what people like to call long words, we call them strong words. We see that these names are interconnected through the Arabic, being connected with Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, or wherever you want to go with it, but also being connected right back to Kemet. So when you see linguistics or linguistic ties between certain things and the same thing is being said, then that is a consensus on an etymological level that you just can't ignore. When you see, for example, the word ahad or akkad, how it represents oneness or unity, in the Hebrew language and the Arabic language. You go into also the Egyptian language, you can find the same connection. You see, dealing with that oneness. So, in other words, okay, well, we know this really means oneness. And it's the same thing if you were to take that same principle and look at, different people or places that are referred to, according to these things, and you'll still get a grand understanding and see that the world has more in connection than you know. So we want to get into some things here. For example, a lot of our people don't know that the concept of surgery, which you hear the West talking about all the time, in order to save somebody's life, they got to have a triple pass, bypass surgery, all types of crazy. You know what I mean? We just speaking in general, but you got to have some type of surgery, in order for you to live if you come under a state of illness. You see, well, where did this concept of surgery originate from? Well, around the year 11,000, not the 11,000, but 1,000, it says the celebrated Dr. Al-Zarawi, which was published in, he published like a 1,500-page illustration encyclopedia of surgery that was used in Europe as a medical reference for the next 500 years. And among his many inventions, Zarawi discovered also the use of dissolving cat gut to stitch wounds, and beforehand a second surgery had been performed to remove sutures. He had also reportedly performed the first cesarean operation, creating the first pair of forceps. Now, for those who don't have this knowledge, this is coming from the Moors. This is coming from the Muslims. They hated under both names around the world. When people hear that word right there, automatically there's some conflict going on. So we know our people hate it 2-3 times. You hate it for being a Moor by our own people. Now, we ain't worried about Rome. We already know what they think about it. You hate it for being a Muslim or a Muslim. And then, on top of that right there, you hate it for being you. And we can go on and on, but these are your first steps in surgery that was demonstrated by our people. They wasn't called Negroes and black people back then. They was called Moors. A lot of people like to drink coffee, and that ain't necessarily good. But anything, it's always benefits. The thing is about the world, you got duality. Too much of anything ain't good for you. But, there's some benefits to coffee, but there's some side effects to coffee. But if you go into the history of that, you find that the Western world's drink, the jour, coffee, was first brewed in Yemen around the 9th century. And it's the earliest days coffee helped the Sufis, and y'all know who the Sufis are. The Sufis stayed up during late night devotion. And also, they later brought it to Cairo by a group of students. So the coffee buzz soon caught on around the empire, and by the 13th century, it reached Turkey. But not until the 16th century did the beans start boiling in Europe. And this was brought to Italy by a Venetian trader. So we can see that coffee, well, it ain't no big deal. I don't drink a lot of coffee. I have indulged in maybe a cup or two, but it ain't never been a big thing. But some of our people love coffee. Down here in Florida, they got this thing they call Cuban coffee. It's thick as all outdoors, too, nothing but caffeine. And that's what people normally use it for. But it's some health benefits and side effects, though. That's the thing we have to learn about whatever it is that manifests on this physical plane. Just as well it can be used on a beneficial level, it can be used also harmfully if overindulged in. So there's a balance or a middle course that we have to take, where you got to have some understanding to know, the proper measures, to consume, so to speak. You see? Also, on another level, now I want you to understand as we move forward, family. These are all things that are coming forth from people that a light bulb is coming on in their head, their consciousness, and they're coming up with these things here, right? Everything that we see around us, modern technology, on a medicinal level, many different aspects. At some time, the light bulb came on in somebody's head. Their gift of the understanding, their treasure from the all, the creator, whatever name you want to put on it. We ain't tripping if you call him somebody else. We ain't tripping if you call him your own consciousness or your higher self. But whatever, however you identify with this supreme reality, your gifts of the understanding come from those treasures. So our consciousness was made this way. We didn't have to have nobody, utilizing no mechanical apparatus to make us think a certain way, because it's already embedded in our consciousness, so much so to where it's part of our DNA. We don't need no machine to make it do this. It automatically does this as it grows. We have to look at everything that we consist of, especially when it comes to coming into the prime, of our lives, so to speak. We just like plants, like seeds were planted in the earth, and these seeds manifest, trees, different forms of vegetation. Then it's the same thing when we deal with our higher state of consciousness. We also have the ability to grow and unfold as the bud unfolds to show the flower. That's what we learn in chapter 1 of our Moorish Holy Quran. So those gifts are able to unfold and grow apace as we unfold and grow apace, all the way into the time where we come into the prime of our lives. And even beyond that, we can still grow and expand based upon the way that we have treated ourselves, the way we have treated our bodies, the way we have treated ourselves mentally, physically, or spiritually. We have the potential to unfold that God state. That's why we say when man unfolds, his God unfolds. But we also know if man knows anything, then he must be what he knows. So you have to have an understanding in order to know a thing, and therefore be what you know. So let me go on. We have another drawing. This is literally an apparatus. The flying machine. A lot of people don't know. Abbas ibn Farnaz was the first person to make a real attempt to construct a flying machine and fly. You see, this is before your airplanes and all this stuff right here. This is another coming from the background of being Muslim, a Moorish, so to speak. And so it says in the 9th century, he actually designed a wing apparatus and roughly resembling a bird costume. In his most famous trial near Cordoba in Spain, Fernandez flew upward for a few moments before falling to the ground and partially breaking his back, right? His designs would undoubtedly have been an inspiration for famed Italian artist and inventor, Leonardo da Vinci's hundreds of years later, said Hassani, right? Also, having all of this knowledge right here, this is the first person trying to create a flying apparatus. And then Rome took it and went a little further. You see? So you have to pay homage and give honors what honor is due. The concept of a university, a school of learning. Where did this really come from? The Moors too. This come from the Muslims too. Everybody else built upon that model. What was the first university? In the year 859, a young princess named Fatima Fahir founded the first degree grand university in Fez, Morocco. This is a woman now. See, so this is not just where you have a chauvinistic expression of man creating everything and ain't no women creating nothing. This is a woman, right? They even had some prophetess that were mentioned in the Piscean records, if you study it hard enough, prophetess, which means female prophets. Go figure, family. But that's a whole nother measure right there. Because they have talents too. They have gifts of the understanding too. We don't teach, a man dominating a woman in this body that we demonstrate right here. So it says her sister Miriam also found an adjacent mosque together in the complex became the Al Qawarin Mosque University, still operating almost 1,200 years later. Hassani says he hopes the center will remind people that learning is at the core of Islamic tradition and that the story of Al-Farhi sisters will inspire young Muslim women around the world today. So we see, again, the Moors are leading on when it comes to all of this gift of the understanding that comes from the Creator. Because then algebra, everybody familiar with the algebra aspects in the name. If you're not, you're going to learn today. So the word algebra, for example, it comes from the title of Persian mathematics in the famous 9th century treatise, Kitab, and Kitab means book, Al-Jabr, while Al-Mugabala, make me think about Kabbalah, because we actually know that the letter G is interchangeable with the letter K in linguistics. Mukabala, which translates roughly as the book of reasoning and balancing. So mathematics, in all actuality, from the Moorish standpoint, was rooted in reasoning and balancing. Everything in creation is based upon mathematics. If you know anything about the word olam, that's O-L-A-M in what they call the Hebrew language, you learn that that word olam, which is synonymous with the Arabic word ilm, which represents knowledge. It has to do with, the secrets of the Creator, the treasures of the Creator. They are found within the creation itself. If there's anything that we need to know in order to aid us in advancement or cure us from illnesses, they will be found either within us or within the creation itself. They are just different formulas, so to speak, upon the way these molecules or atoms, work together in combination to create what it is that may become a cure or an antidote. or whatever it is that we would like to invent. It's there. We have to study nature, study the creation. And our ancient ancestors, were evident of this. That's why you can go into Kemet and see all of these things that they built. And it baffles the modern day scientists or the modern day contractor when it comes to constructing certain things. All of this has to do with the fact that within each and every one of us, if we have the key to unlock our treasure box, our consciousness, then we too can create, the next apparatus, so to speak, machinery of advancement. But we're not thinking on this level. We have been too busy thinking on a more minute level. But, this is what the people are. This is what Prophet Noble Drew Ali referred to when he talked about industrious acts. When are we going to get on that level where we start demonstrate industrious acts? Being an industrious nation. What is our gross national product? Wisdom. You see? Wisdom speak from out of the highest plane of spirit. Like that means your consciousness, your Godhead. That's that silent voice of the supreme reality that's speaking to you and through you. You see? It's not by chance. There are no strange happenings. You see? Okay. Let's go a little further. So it went on with this, Kitab al-Jabal wal Mugabala, which translates roughly as the book of reasoning and balancing. Built on the roots of Greek and Hindu systems, the new algebraic order was a unified system for rational numbers, irrational numbers, and geometrical magnitudes in the same mathematic. And the mathematicians of Al-Khwarizmi, it states, was also the first to introduce the concept of raising a number to a power. So when you hear people talking about this to the 10th power, or that to the 3rd power, and so forth and so on, it's the same drawing, family. That too, that concept came from Moorish Muslims. I mean, we can't get around this. It don't get no plainer than that right there. It don't get no plainer than that. And mathematics is at the root and the basis of everything that is being created now when it comes to dealing with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We've seen documents that have to do with like the Rhine mathematical papyri in ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. We already know that a lot of the Arabs are inheritors of that wisdom. But we Moors are also custodians of that same information. We want to give honors to our beloved elder and brother G.M. James, because he exposed a lot of this and he wrote this and gave us insight on the fact that it was the Moors who became custodians of this wisdom and brought it or took it basically everywhere they went in all directions. If this is the case, then why haven't we had a system of passing this wisdom down generation to generation to where we become more advanced? We have fallen more by climbing than we have done anything. We have not advanced as a people because we are not thinking as a people of advancement. We are more thinking as everybody know, consumers, as opposed to being those who are creators. You see, and so hopefully this particular drawing, once we understand that everything is in us and that the Most High has appointed to everyone their portion, in which measure that seemeth good to himself, you see, if you can recognize something that makes you happy or something that brings solution to problems in this world, especially when it becomes a massive, viral expression of that demonstration, family, all you can say is, well, you tapped into your saving power. So all of us have that opportunity. All of us, have the chance to be able to demonstrate our saving power. We have to get out of the mindset of thinking that something spooky gonna happen. No, this is like magic, abracadabra. No, you know how they said faith without works is dead. So we ain't here to just make you no believers or no converts. You see, once you are able to truly know who you are, will it into being. Do as you will. That's what we're talking about. Also, another thing that was dealing with some of the things that were invented by the Moors and the Muslims. Optics. Most of the important advances in the study in optics actually came from the Muslim world, family. Around that same year, 1000, Ibn Haytham proved that humans see objects by reflecting light reflecting off of them and entering the eye, dismissing what they call the Euclid concept, that 47 problem that they talk about in the Masonic Demon. Yeah, this was already debunked basically by Muslims. And Ptolemy's theories as well, that light was emitted from the eye itself, that has been debunked by the Muslims, by the Moors. This great Muslim or Muslim physicist also discovered the camera obscura phenomenon, which explained how the eyes see images upright due to the connection between them and the optic nerve in the brain. If you know anything about what we call optic, you deal with the optic thalamus. The optic thalamus in the brain, which is also called, if you look the word up, the thalamus refers to the chamber. So the greatest light, when you talk about light of consciousness, light is really in the consciousness. And everything that is a part of us is a direct reflection of the macrocosm. We the microcosm, we already know what the macrocosm is. Just as creation itself came out of a void, out of a dark void, we too, as we develop, we actually grow from our head when we unfold as a seed from the womb. A lot of people don't know that right there. So your consciousness, is connected to the womb of your mother, the matrix of your mother. Your consciousness is being fed whatever your mother has, that is a part of her. You see, not only do you go in and attach yourself head first, you see, but you come out head first. You see, that's a powerful demonstration. And so you are being fed the nutrients that your mother have taken in if she has been eating a certain type of way. We call this a sacred groves. This is where you first begin to learn your lessons. This is when those impressions are first being impressed upon the consciousness while you within the womb or the matrix of your mother. Even within the loins of your father, it's the same way according to, the story dealing with Abraham. Melchizedek met him when he was still within the loins of his father. That's why we call this the true order of Melchizedek. It's not a building outside of you. The true order of Melchizedek has to do with you and your connection through predestination and creative fate, being prepared before you come into this world and having a saving power within you, having the know-how within you, having a sense of destiny attached to your mission and your purpose in life. See, that's the real meaning behind order of Melchizedek. Sacred groves. You're getting it both ways. From your mother and your father. But this goes beyond your carnal mother and your father. This goes back to your spiritual mother and father. We call it Ish and Isha. You see? So you are already being prepared to come here and unfold into your own fulfillment. It's not strange that you hear in this Moorish American government, if you hear now, that's part of fulfillment. The preparation took place within the sacred grove, within the womb. This was passed on through mitochondria. You hear people say, keep that same energy. Well, through the mitochondria, what I like to call the meiotic mother, a mitochondria. You see, once you came through, we say, keep that same energy. Or we can say it like the chairman said, hold that thought. If you're a thought of the creator made manifest, then you keep that same energy that was given to you within the womb. And you begin to learn and grow apace very rapidly and understand from whence you came. Then we ask the question, who made you? So when you know where you come from a source of greatness. You come from a source that has a divine reservoir that is unlimited. You see, you can't help but be great. Who can make you something other than great? Who can make you a slave? Because you can't enslave a God, because that's exactly who you manifest from the source. Who can stop you? Or like the young generation say, who gonna check me? You see what I'm saying? So you come forth with a sense of knowing that you a winner. Ain't no such thing as taking no L for you. Not when you're thinking on that level right there. Ain't no losing. Failure is not an option when you're thinking on the level of being a God. When you're thinking on a level of drawing from a divine reservoir, like the waters of Zimzim, the well of Zimzim, when they say it's a well that never runs dry. And we already know water is synonymous with knowledge. So by water, we know that we're able to purify ourselves. See, a lot of people like to talk about making wudu, and washing themselves physically. But they don't know there's a spiritual meaning behind that. But when you go into spiritual water, which is synonymous with knowledge, and you talk about purifying your body, what are you talking about? The subtle body, the psychic body. With the knowledge, you can purify the body with that spiritual water. Just as one does the ritual, goes through the rites and the ceremonies and form that we call purification or wudu, the cleansing rites. You are able to cleanse your person by what it is that you know. You see? But you can't teach what you don't know. So yeah, that's a powerful demonstration dealing with the concept of the optics. And what about music? Music too come forth from Muslims. They advanced it, but they learn a lot of things from the Kemites. But you have to understand that if Ishmael and his mother were of Egyptian origin in their root, and this actually deals with the beginning of the Arab nation, then this means they too would inherit some of those customs and traditions that came through Kemet, and some of those things will be passed down. Just like with us and the traditions that we have, that we learned over here, we pass it down, and everybody familiar with them. I don't care where you at in the United States of America. There's certain things in culture and traditions that automatically unite us with each other. Certain things that we do and have done. I don't care how country you talk. I don't care how proper you talk. There's certain things that we have created as a culture over here coming through slavery. Even after all of that, we have, our own way of doing things. And when we see somebody from a different area or location, it's certain things that we all know and they unite us, even in the fact that there has been a break, in our lineage, so to speak. But there are certain things that, there's a cue, so to speak. But anyway, music here. Muslim musicians, for example, we understand that they have had a profound impact on Europe, the Europeans, dating back to Charlemagne, and they tried to compete with the music of Baghdad and Cordoba, according to Hassani pardon himself. That's a historian. Among many instruments that arrived in Europe through the Middle East, for example, are the lute, I know y'all familiar with the lute. And the rahab, an ancestor of the violin and modern musical scales, are also said to derive from the Arabic alphabet. Now, it's not strange, that we can find even this as a measure and understand this because we've been dealing with the language recently. And in dealing with the language, we've been pointing these things out. We have basically begun to show the connection between linguistics and music. And our beloved brother, native born Egyptian brother Mustafa Gadala, also speaks on a lot of this here. And I created a chart, for example. I'm going to share it with y'all real quick. And I'm going to show it. Let me see here. Because there was really not a whole lot of knowledge on the hieratic language. Speaking on, this, and we were dealing with actually the sounds, dealing with the connection. And I use, musical theory that I was taught at a very young age. Y'all know the scales of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You know what I mean? And so once I did that, because we was do, re, mi, fa, so, going up the different scales and hitting different octaves, I took that same drawing and applied it to, this particular chart here. That's for those who are looking. I have hieratic letters here, hieratograms. And I placed them beside the Arabia, and this is not in the Abjad order where it starts off with A, B, G, D, but this is the order where they normally put these alphabets up here. If you're looking at anything that deals with Islam, they have it in this particular order. And so I took the concept of the circle 7, to memorize these sounds, and that was, Alif, Ba, Ta, Ta, Jim, Ha, Ka, Dol, Zol, Rose, Sin, Shin, So, Do, To, Zo, Ein, Gain, Fa, Quof, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Nun, He, Wo, Ya. So I was able to go through all of those measures using harmonics and tone. We also connecting that to where you actually state these things from, because there's vibration, when you understand the language and you have a command over it. And what do you think the Arabs learned it from? When you hear, the Arabs chanting, you hear them doing that. They got that from our ancestors. When you hear those who speak Hebrew doing the same thing, or those in India, everywhere we go, even over here in the culture of Native America, the chanting and so forth and so on, they get that from ancient time. That's something that came and may have had their own style and things they created with it, but nevertheless, it's the same thing. I know, and everybody have their own means of vibration. The way that you demonstrate your vibration will also determine how you're able to move the ethers. And I was able to learn my tonal expression years ago when I started studying the Arabic. Learning how to deal with the calling of the dawn, pushing that vibration out there. And you hear it all the time. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Can't nobody demonstrate that like Bilal. That's why Allah said that, it wasn't called if Bilal wasn't demonstrating. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. You know what I mean? Your own little vibration. Yeah, ain't got nothing to do with being Arabized, because it was Bilal that was calling that demonstration and had the proper tajweed or pronunciation according to Allah. If he didn't call it, Allah said it hadn't been called. That's your brother. from what they call Al-Habasha or Abyssinia. Some people like to call it Ethiopia, Sudan, Kush, whatever name you want to use. You know, it wasn't said right if it wasn't a Cushite reciting it. You know, and so once you understand harmonics and the tonal expression, then you understand how to move the ethers and chant Heka, so to speak. You know, and we even did the same thing. Like I said, we demonstrated the same thing. If we go into the what we call our universal prayer, international prayer, pardon self, the Al-Fatiha, everybody know that one right there. You know, we would demonstrate our particular measure. You know, when we demonstrated that, and we put our own drawing on it. You know, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. You know what I mean? So we put our own vibration in there. But then let's take it to Kemet when we deal with our Moorish American adept prayer. You see what I'm saying? And we get to demonstrate that measure, family. It's the same vibration. Remember, the gifts of the understanding of, the gifts of the understanding are from the treasures of Allah. You see? And we would go and say, Ya Allah abnu heru makoneteru. Ya Allah abhet heru. Ya Allah ma'at heru. Ya Allah hotep heru. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herakuti. Ya Allah ahwajete juti. Ya Allah per im sutek per im heru. Ya Allah bemaduti. Ilhajit shepsis rep to Ali. I mean. Haliyas. 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 You see what I'm saying? And so, vibration, family. In the same way that you deal with that vibration just by chanting, this is the same way that we can tap into the formulas, by understanding what we call anaglyphs in ancient Kemet. Man, this thing is powerful. This is universal. But yeah, the musical scales, all of that right there go back to the Moors and the Muslims as well, family. You see? Toothbrush. A lot of people don't know. You talk about brushing your teeth. That came from what they call, the mishwak. And this is actually said to be attributed to Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah himself. You see, Prophet Muhammad is the one that popularized the use of the first toothbrush around 600, using a twig from the mishwak tree. He cleaned his teeth and freshened his breath, and substances similar to mishwak are used in the modern toothpaste. See, y'all didn't even know that. So if Muhammad is said to be the first to use mishwak, and then they made toothpaste and they have certain elements of that in there, then that means he had to exist, didn't it? And if you don't want to believe that he existed from that aspect, because a lot of people running around now talking about these people didn't exist. But again, I always take them back to the test. Well, go find your common ancestor then and prove that he existed. Because in modern science, they say he existed, but they can't show him till you improve him. So come on, let's stop playing. Since you know so much about Muhammad, then how Muhammad had a knowledge of salt water and fresh water and the barrier that exists out there in between the two. Unless you can show us where that man went out there to the ocean, because ain't nowhere I done seen in none of the history where they say Muhammad went out there in the ocean. So how would he know that there was an invisible barrier that separates salt water and fresh water from itself? How would Muhammad know again? And I spoke on this not long ago. How would he know the development of the fetus within the womb of the woman unless he was a surgeon himself going within at every stage, every couple of days, to basically prove this process? How would it be revealed in the Quran over 1400 years ago when scientists and doctors didn't even know this stuff at that time? If that ain't enough to show you the truth of the mess, we got a whole bunch of things we can put in here. Even about the mountains and how they stabilize the earth. This was revealed in the Quran. So if it's true in the Quran and it came down to us now in this science and we can see them things exist, it talk about the 7 firmaments. And if you know anything about the 7 levels of the atmosphere, you know about the troposphere, the mesosphere, the ionosphere. Go to science. But how did they know this in the Piscean records, family? Answer that. How would, because Job talked about a lot of things too. How would these things be in there? Because this is being translated from a text. How would these men that are called prophets have all of this knowledge when they didn't have the technology that we have now? But yet these things are meant to be. See, we talk a lot about the negativity and the negativity, so to speak, but we never went deep into these aspects. All of these things that we see here so far, surgery, coffee, flying apparatus, a university to learn in, mathematics, optics, dealing with the art of music. These are some of the main things that deal with the liberal arts that you hear the European always talking about in their Masonic degrees. You see, so if all of these things were done by Muslims and Moors, why you don't hear nobody talking about that? Why you don't hear nobody speaking on them things? They'd rather argue with you about what the word Moor did. Talk about what the Moors did. Talk about how they ruled, under the teaching they ruled for over 700 years. Talk about how they civilized the European when they came out of the caves and they was on all fours and they taught them how to wash themselves and purify themselves. Demonstrate act self according to our teaching. Who you think taught the European how to demonstrate act self? Keep their bodies clean with water. Now, it's kind of hard to keep their hearts and mind purified with love. That's a whole nother thing, because that's the only thing that we couldn't give them. We couldn't give them that soul. You see what I'm saying? That's why we got so much trouble with them now. Also, the concept of the crank. We often know about the real McCoy and Henry McCoy. A lot of people, you get into that aspect right there. You get into X-Man, and they go to talking about one. They connect that in all actuality to the first man to invent certain things, right? They be throwing little trinkets out there for our people to get them if they pick it up. But the real McCoy, is said to be in connection to the first engine. But when we go into the aspect of the concept of the crank, it invented earlier than that. Even though it still was one of our people, the crank, many basics of the modern automatic was first put in use in the Muslim world, and included a revolutionary crank connecting system rod by converting rotary motion into linear motion. See what I'm saying? These are all Moors and Muslim family demonstrating like this here. Well, what about hospitals? But when we deal with this cranking concept, dealing with lifting heavy objects with relative ease. So they was dealing with this to be able to lift with the crank, right? But this technology was discovered by Al-Jazari in the 12th century and exploded across the globe, leading to everything from the bicycle to the international combustion a combustible engine. So again, another measure. These are gifts of the understanding that came from the treasures of Allah. And last but not least, another thing, again, the hospitals. I was getting ready to mention that. The hospitals, as we know today, with their wards and teaching centers, this come from the 9th century in Egypt. You know, this is where your first medical centers were established. You know, and the first one was established by Ahmad ibn Tulun, a hospital that was founded in 872 in Cairo. And this hospital provided free care for anyone who needed it. It was a policy that was based on the Muslim tradition of caring for all who were sick. And from Cairo, such hospitals spread around the Muslim or the Muslim world. So this is where your Shriners come up with this concept of their hospitals. You know, they had some Knights Templars that were called hospitals. You see, those who would aid those who were wounded along the way when they were taking their journey and so forth and so on. But so when you deal with an alien strain that they the first one, they can skip, you know, going through all the degrees, they can stop at 14 and then drop straight up into the shrine. You see, but the main thing is when you deal with these concepts of hospitals, even that, family, the apparatus that you have to perform the surgery in, all of this came from Muslims. Moorish Muslim family. I mean, come on, man. Let's stop playing with ourselves. So all of these things that have been invented, have you ever asked yourself, if we done did all of this right here, we got ancestors that demonstrated like this, then what happened to the saving power? Did we lose it? Is it no longer available to us? You know, is somebody hiding it from us? Is there a secret code in order to tap into it? Ask yourself that question. Where is that saving power? We tell you that the saving power, our saving power, is a power that exerts itself for the individual at the will of the user. In other words, you have to go within your own treasure box, demonstrating your own gifts of understanding, and find the treasures of your Godhead. And then you can be a blessing to your people, a blessing to yourself. God bless the child that has his own. Huh? And this is all in the measure that seemeth good to you. You can have as much of your consciousness and creativity, so to speak, that you are able to will. You see, we all have this in us, but now we're in a state of mind where our people don't believe they can do nothing. They think that they basically, again, just destined for hell, oppression, you know, and more oppression through enslavement. This is what our people think. So go figure, family. Think about that. And the whole key in regards to all of that we're giving you coming from the first Hayat, once we have a unanimous will in this thought, the instructions on unity, once we're able to unite in the thought along with the ingenuity, you know, and the knowledge that we have, you know, this is where the Renaissance is going to take place at. Once we're able to use our talents together and stop enriching other people with our talents, selling ourselves short and therefore selling out. So we can't blame nobody else because we have been taking our talents and our knowledge and the expertise back to the person. Prophet Noble Ali told our Moorish kin what slaves would do. They would take everything of wealth and give it right back to the European, give it right back to Rome. This is why we continue to suffer as a people. You are enriching the machine or the beast that's devouring you, and wonder, you know, why it is that you constantly are being devoured. That don't make no sense, do it? That's like some oxymoronic activity when it comes to dealing with one's thought pattern, the mindset. So yeah, man, it's some powerful things here. Once you're able to come into some grand insight, family, and know exactly who it is that made you, and also be able to know that you come from a source of divinity. Because once you understand that you come from a source of divinity, all is well. Remember, I was telling you the connection of the drawing when we was dealing with the word ahad or wahad, as they say in Arabic, ahad or wahad, which is what wahid or tawheed comes from. In the Hebrew, it's yakad, and yakad means to be united. It means to meet. So when you see the symbol of the hand clasp of unity, this is a meeting of the mind. Oh my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor be not thou united. At root, yakad means a unit. So we have to move as a unit and exercising our talents unitedly together. You see, this is a powerful demonstration. That's the word yakad, which is akad, right? It has to do with being all together. Here's an adverbial form. Yakad means, and this is coming from actually Strong's Expandable Dictionary of Bible Words. This is Hebrew and Arabic dictionary. It says, because they exhaust all of these words. They go in all, they break them down. But in this particular measure, it says, yakad means together, alike, all at once, all together, and used as an adverb word that emphasizes the plurality and unity. Just like the word Elohim. We talk about the seven eyes of Allah being creative fate. They work together. You don't see nowhere where the Elohim is going to war, with each other about who gonna do this part and who gonna do that part. No, they do it together. So it says in some contexts, the connotation is on the community in action. Goliath challenged the Israelites, saying, I defy the armies of Israel. And this day give me a man that we may fight together. Sometimes the emphasis is on commonality of place, and it came to pass that they which remained were scattered, so that two of them were not left together. That's 1 Samuel 11:11. The word can be used of being in same place at the same time. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged him on a hill before the Lord, and they fell all seven together. So they really emphasizing this aspect on, yakad, which is like ahad, the oneness. It says in other passages, yakad means at the same time. Oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed and my calamity laid in the balances together. In many poetic contexts, yakad is near the synonym of kulam, which is all together, and yakad, however, is more emphatic, meaning all at once, all together. So they breaking this thing down, and they keep going on about the concept of being all together at one. They even go into, the princes and the kings and everybody coming together as one. That's why we were asked, is there a unanimous will among our people to be free? That's what the United Nations asked our people. So just the same way we have to have a unanimous will to be free, imagine all of us together chanting the mantras of freedom, the mantras of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Imagine that. All in sync, all in harmony. Y'all seen some of the videos when you look at the sheikhs and the Sufis, and a lot of them be, whirling, and they be dancing around, and they moving in one vibration and sync. That's how you create the atmosphere, of powerful ethers, unbeknownst to our people. Those exercises, along with exercising the holy breath. We just wanted to bring all that to the manifest. So, I said enough. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to open up the floor for my Moorish kin, and want to give honors to all the family that showed up out there in social media. We got a lot of Moors, and all of our family. Brother Yaqub El Hamid Gamma Bay, Sister Cena Renee, honors to you, Goddess and Queen. Brother Noble Bryan, Brother Ronnie Dwight. We give honors to you, Rodney Mizell. Honors to you as well, Brother Marvin, Nathaniel Evans Bay, Thaddeus Bennis Bay, Sister Curta Bay, Jeff Billingsley, all of our Moorish kin that have showed up and gave their listening ear. We honor your contribution, family. So at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to open up the way, and our subject title is dealing with the holy instructions of unity. Because all of these things are necessary. We should be utilizing our gifts of the understanding coming from the treasures of Allah in order to bring about some unity. We shouldn't be using the talents and the gifts that have been given to us, to cause chaos and mischief and conflict and so forth and so on. So at this time, we call on our family to *6 the phone. And all is well so that we can hear from our Moorish kin. Islamism. Islam. *6 your phone, Moors. Can you hear me out there, family? Anybody?
Islam.
Islam, grand man.
Islam, we hear you.
All right, gratitude. What have you to say, grand man?
First off, I want to first and rise and give all praise to our Father God Allah, honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honors to the Moorish American government, honors to this Moorish Prospectus, hosted by you, Assistant Grand Sheikh. Beautiful class, very powerful, very thought-provoking. It's just honors to everything that the Prophet brought. Because, without the Prophet's teachings, we wouldn't even have the wherewithal or the thought pattern to look back at our lineage with reverence, to go and study ourselves to the degree to where we can find all of these gifts that we have that we have given to the world with our innovation and with our mind and our ingenuity, and with our brilliance and all of the gifts that have been given to the world through our descendants and our ancestors. And so it's just an honor that Prophet Noble Drew Ali instilled in us, this spirit to want to know ourselves in a greater detail, to where we can start to see ourselves in a more blessed light. Islam for that, because this is truly the uniting of Asia that you speak about, this unity, and until the Moors, the unconscious Moors, see themselves as human beings and a part of the human family, this innovation and these industrious acts will truly, they won't be. The Prophet, he told us that he was going to stop the European from thinking, and he was going to get the Moors to think for themselves. And here in this thinking, you can just see the gifts of the understanding are the treasure of Allah. And he appointed to himself the measure that seemed good unto himself. And so these gifts that we get, that you speak of, they all come from our Father God Allah, but it depends on our sincerity of heart, what gift we get, because you get what you want out of this life, and you get what you want out of this life. And so it's very imperative that we want, the things of Allah, the things of goodness, because if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. And so I'm so grateful for the Prophet Noble Drew Ali that we got this. We got the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We got the Moorish American government, because the thought pattern that I had was, you have to have a place to protect your gifts and these gifts. And, even when it comes to innovations and inventions, a lot of the inventions and innovations that we come up with, we come up with them in a time of slavery. And so your master, he would take ownership of your innovation, and he would take ownership of a lot of your thoughts and your ideas, and you say, he say, yeah, good. That was a good idea, boy. And he takes your idea and he gets the patent, and you get nothing. And so here in this government, we have the opportunity to protect ourselves and protect our thought patterns and protect our ideas and not just fall in line with a Eurocentric, a Eurocentric beast, as you spoke of, that just gonna, you just feeding your own, you feeding your own demise. You giving innovations to a world that's going to use it for your destruction. And you think about it, all of the innovations that we have brought into this United States, they have been using them, trying to invert them and to destroy us. And so it's just an honor that we can be protected and we can find, our balance, and we can find our right mind, so we can know what we can do with our gifts, and we can share our gifts with the world through this government, because, you can't share anything through that corporate state. And so, it's an honor. It's a great perspective. So many thought patterns that came forth with the brilliance that you brought forth. So I'm just ready to hear what the Moors have to bring forth. Islam and peace. Love you, Moors.
And Islam and peace, brother. Love is mutual and gratitude for that droid. Islamism without the schism. All right. Are there any other Moors who would like to come forth and exercise their fire? Islam, Moorish kin.
Then the Franklin Day, first let me rise and give honor and praise to the great God Allah. Honors to our prophet, noble to our lead. Honors to our government, our bureaucratic government. Honors to Act 1 and all our government officials. Honors to our flag, symbol, and emblem. Honors to our Moorish American literature. Honors for this class tonight, and honors for everything that is Moorish. Speaking of unity and using our talent, a lot of times it's Moors, and then coming out of Christianity, you don't realize the talent that you have, but it can be brought back to your memory. I was constantly studying yourself. I mean, a lot of things that you did for years based on the United States and what other people's concepts of being a job or a program, something that you've been doing all your life. And so it's easy for you to tap into that talent by using what you already been doing all along. It's just our profit and our studies help us to understand what we're doing and what we're using. And for years, for example, I did hair. Not before going to school for it and before getting so-called paperwork or acknowledgement for what I did. It was something that was instilled in me by my parents, and it's something I did before knowing that it was a job or it was just something that I could do. I just started doing it, and I was good at it. And just like other things, nursing and using different recipes at home to help heal yourself from my ancestors, from my grandparents and my grandfather. So unity, and they say if you don't want more to know it, don't think it. Using that and just combining everything that you're learning about yourself to try to uplift people. Putting those principles out front with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and just constantly studying yourself will help you to unite with each other because you're learning how to love and divine love. So gratitude for the class tonight. Gratitude for allowing me to speak Islam.
Islam and gratitude, sister, for that grand droid. Praise be to Allah. All right. Islam, is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire?
Islam? Go ahead, guys. Islam.
Islamism.
Islam. This is Dr. Aminette Mayate calling from the Arkansas territory. Again, I rise, giving highest praises to the great God Allah, highest honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, high honors to the Moorish American government, and Act 1, honors to you for this class, and honor to all the Moors that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. So I just got off of work, and I didn't hear your demonstration, but I'm just going to demonstrate off the chapter of the Holy Instructions of Unity and using my talent. So before I came to the Moorish American government, I demonstrated in all the conscious groups of our nation, you know, and my talent was shown by going to each one of these groups and being able to help them produce things for the community. And I was seeking to build a community, and I had a lot of leaders on deck, and then I was brought to more science because I was like, well, if we get this land and everybody do their job, what we gonna call ourselves to be sovereign, you know? And that's when I was really YouTube searching more, and it was all about paperwork. And then I met more, and they brought me to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and they gave me all the books that I needed and brought me to the Moorish American government. The Holy Instructions of Unity, you know, the first ayah is the gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. I get that every day on these conference calls. Everybody gives a different perspective. It gives me many rocks to build myself upon. Understanding is the rock which one builds themselves upon. So I get several every day on this conference call. I believe that as a nation and for all the sleeping Moors, once they realize the holy covenant of the Asiatic nation and have a clear understanding on what the Moorish American government is about, what we're doing, what we're building, and how prosperous it is for us as a whole, getting their understanding to build themselves upon, it's going to be a beautiful thing. You know, I feel like my talent is to go out into the community and to continue to tell people about Noble Drew Ali, and give them the number to the conference call and continue to push the Moorish American government and supreme law. Islam, gratitude for Allah.
Islam and gratitude for the measure. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. Well, all right, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay, I think I heard you come forth.
Islam, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you like right now.
Well, yeah, you know, like it's kind of weird because I'm on a conference call, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I hear on YouTube, but it's like about a minute to the delay.
Yeah, that's so, how it is between the apparatuses. Yep.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just mute out this YouTube and just go from the phone. Yeah, gratitude for allowing me to speak. Very powerful class you brought on. I mean, of course, and you covered a lot of ground. Oh, but let me, not Terry. First, let me rise. Give all praise to the great God Allah. I give highest honors to His prophet, our prophet Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Abdul Ali. I give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. I give high honors to our Act 1. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to this class, our Moorish perspectives class. As well as I give honor to you, Dr. Sidhu Amiti Mohedi Sexual, our National Assistant, Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. I give honor to everything that is Morris, our flag, our shield, our emblem, our divine constitution, our holy Quran, our book of Ali, our 101, our 102, the agreement of a nation, all of our divine revelation. Give honor to the forerunner of our prophet, Dr. Marcus will take out of hell, as well as I give honor to the ancestors, whose shoulders we stand upon. We are the return of the ancient ones. I give honor to those that gave their mentions before me, and all that will give their mentions after me. Yes, this is a very powerful class, the whole instruction for unity. And, man, you know, and I just, I don't know if you're able to take a few notes. You know, and I wrote down, it's always been above the neck. You know what I mean? You had made that comment. And, which is true. I mean, and the more I grow in understanding, the more that wisdom, you know, comes down from the highest plane of spirit life, you know, that I can, you know, say visualize or, you know what I mean, understand the depth of that, you know what I mean, above the neck. You know, because this is where the actions of the soul takes place. You know, the thinking, the reasoning, the willing, the understanding, and the remembrance. You know what I mean? So when we begin to remember who we are, who we were, which is who we are, but go into the consciousness of this, you know, we can tap into this. You know what I mean? Because it's all in recognizing. Because all of our people have it, but they don't recognize it. Or they may use it, but they're giving it to the European. You know what I mean? At least part of it, because they can't handle all of what we know, I mean, all of what we are. You know, and as I listen to your class, you know, you bring that to the forefront. You know what I mean? You talk about all of the inventions, practically all of them we did. And of course, as you say, being slaves, they took advantage. I mean, they just took over. You know what I mean? They took, I'm looking for this word, well, it will come to me. You know what I mean? But, you know, they just made use of our talents, and what they are doing now. But then again, they are redirecting our talents to activities that's not beneficial to us. You know what I mean? It just, you know what I mean? It just kind of not riles me up. It kind of gets me motivated into speaking on it, you know, because it's just plain as day. You know what I mean? But the point I really, really want to make is that we can't really take advantage of what we are, of who we are, until we come into this Moorish American government. You know what I mean? And I may seem biased. I don't know whether you want to call it that. I'm saying this is the truth. You know what I mean? Because for myself, you know what I mean? This is where I'm able to comprehend what is actually taking place. You know what I mean? I used to hear about this when I was younger, growing up. You know what I mean? You hear about, you know, the things that we did. You know what I mean? You know, they let out some of the things that they discovered that that was already, say, tools and things and the different apparatuses. They come out, you know what I mean, that was already on the manifest. But, of course, they didn't give us the credit of it because they want to keep it on the low. You know what I mean? Then they would study it. Then they would go through this, what's called reverse engineering, just like they did our language. You know what I mean? You know, in Kemet. You know what I mean? Talk about the hieroglyphs. You know what I mean? I mean, they just did a job on us. But I just want to say, you know, in this demonstration that, you know, we have to come together as a nation of people. And the only way we can do that is in this Moorish American government. So that we can get our people to calm and, you know, purify their hearts and minds so we won't be bickering. You know what I mean? We won't be arguing. All this, you know, I'm starting to say something, you know, not going to be appropriate. But, you know what I mean? Like in this conscious community thing, everybody want to debate. You know what I mean? Let's use that talent to create something. You know what I mean? Create something that's going to save our people that's being killed in this
and we can't get bogged down with the human calamities. But we can also take care of that, eliminate that, if we come together in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Gratitude, God, man, for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
Islam. And gratitude for the speaking, brother. And that's a powerful measure. Yeah, we just have to honor, that circle 7. Honor that real unity, that hand clasp. Remember, salvation, our God, and unity. All right now. One God, one aim, one destiny. See? Islam. Is there any other more? We give honors to you, Brother Marvin Edward Bay, for that draw. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire and bring forth their gifts of the understanding from the treasures of their Most High? Islam. Still got plenty of time for the Moors to come forth and give their perspectives. No more Moors that want to come forth and exercise their fire. Okay, all is well.
Islam, give me a minute, Grand Man. I'm trying to get everything straightened out here.
Okay, take your time, Brother Muhammad Bey. While you doing that, I'm gonna drop this link over here for anybody that might be on out there in social media may want to come in.
Okay. Islam, Grand Man.
Go ahead, Brother Muhammad Bey.
Gratitude and gratitude for your patience, my beloved brother. Islam. I'm Dr. Gerald Hamid Muhammad Bey of the South Carolina Consulate. First, let me rise in praise of our Father God Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things. I want to give the highest honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. He is the last prophet of this new era of time now that we're living in. He is the seventh manifestation in divine flesh, the seventh angel of Revelations 10, El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I want to give honors to Act 1 of our Moorish divine constitution and bylaws. I want to give honors to our grand national seal, our grand national emblem, and our grand national flag. I want to give honors to our theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I want to give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., who is the forerunner that prepared the way for our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin, visitors, everyone that's on this Moorish Perspectives live StreamYard presentation tonight. I'll give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. And as always, giving much love, honor, and respect to our national assistant, Grand Sheikh of the Moorish American government, Dr. Shedu Aminti El Muhajid, Shepsu El, for always coming forth and giving freely from what is speaking about tonight, the gifts of the treasures of Allah that has been bestowed upon him. We love you, Grand Man. We appreciate you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. It's a grand class as always. Brother, you always cover a lot of ground. And, the more, I, for one, try our best to, keep up, and take in as much as we can. Verily Allah is the best arranger of all things. So, like some of the Moors have said, before coming into the Moorish American government and the nation, before coming in contact with the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali, I was diving in and out of all types of different areas, metaphysics, archaeology, geometry, and I was getting a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it had its benefits. But I must be honest, family. I wasn't able to put everything together. I wasn't able to create a picture of the total objective or purpose for which I was researching or getting this knowledge for. When I came into the Moorish American government and I began to study the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali, it was those teachings that were the binding or gathering, or as the grand man said, that was the uniting element that allowed me to be able to see the universal picture of everything that I had been given, right? And why I was being given those things. The gifts of the understanding. And notice, family, it doesn't say singular. In the verse that the grand man brought forth, it uses the plural with an S, the gifts. So this is letting us know, just as he stated, if you're on this conference call, this live conference call right now, you have gifts of understanding that the great God and Father of the universe has bestowed upon you, just like all of us. If you stick to these lessons, you keep coming, we call it the hammer of repetition. It will begin to unfold and reveal itself, just like it did with me. The one gift that I came to understand, Prophet Noble Ali made a statement. And in his statement, this is what he said. He said, the same truth that drew me drives me. He said, the same truth that drew you drives you. So when I first heard that, I really, it resonated, but I didn't really have a comprehensive understanding of what I was being told. But family, as I began to study more and more and stay on the conference calls and try to keep in line with the teachings, one day it hit me, like I say, like a blinding light. Because in our lessons, when it says the same truth, see, we're taught that truth is art, and art is Allah, the great God. And then it says that same truth drives. So it was like, wow. So being that truth is art, and art is the great God, I look back on my life, family, and I realized that through everything that I had gone through, up to the point to where I met Prophet Noble Ali, it was truth, breaking it down, making it plain. It was the great God that was leading me, guiding me to my destiny, to where I was meant to be, where he wanted me to be, so that I could further unfold in that gift of the truth, because the truth is fathomless. But he wanted me to have more, a deeper understanding, as it says, of the gifts that he had bestowed upon me. So he brought me here to this Sacred Grove University of the Moorish American government and its nation. And man, the truth has really unfolded, family, because the greatest gift is to know who made you and who you are. What is your free national name? I know that I'm a Moorish American. Notice I said I know. It's absolute truth. I know that we are Moorish Americans. I know that we are a nation of people. And if that's not a gift of understanding that has multiple understandings within it, family, when you dive into this ocean, you can't help but become a part and a partial of the ocean because it's filled with love. And we know that love overcomes all things. This is a grand magnanimous class, my brother. You know what I mean? And we learn how to, again, the gifts, right? With that understanding to distinguish truth from falsehood. And that is a major thing right now. As the grandman said, we're in a crucial time. And it's so crucial that we are able to have discernment, to be able to know the difference between what is truth and what is falsehood. Because ending, we know that the scripture says what? We shall know the truth, and the truth will make us free. Our people suffer what? Not from a lack of knowledge, but from a lack of knowledge of the truth, which is what our Grand Sheik, National Assistant Grand Sheik, always reiterates. So come home, family. Those of y'all that are still there, that haven't come in, right, to your own nation, your own government, come home, family. This is the kingdom of Emmanuel on the manifest right now. Come to the ark of salvation in these last days and times. Peace, love, and honor to all of you. Peace, love, and honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheik, and peace, love, and honor to everything more. Grand class, grand man. Thanks for letting me share. Peace and love.
Islam, in grand measure, brother Mohammed Bey, we give honors to you for your contribution, and honors to everything you do and that you will do, brother. We're going to close out with a reading from the Dictionary of Symbols. We're talking about the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah. We already know, as it has been emphasized, what the gifts are. And let's go into this measure real quick. Listen to what it says about treasure. It says buried treasure. We always talk that we must dig beneath that rocky soil, right? But anyway, it says, as the Hadith has it, I was a buried treasure. I long to be known is the symbol of the divine essence and latency. It is also that of esoteric knowledge. So if we understand that the divine essence is a buried treasure within each and every one of us, that spirit that exists within us, that is a part of the great God Allah within our heart, our consciousness. This is the heartbeat of divinity, so to speak, right? But we long to be known. So each and every one of us have that potential of being expressive to manifest a portion of the God self. And all of these represents his attributes. That's what we're talking about. It says, the Hindu goddess Kavera guards treasures and is mistress of the earth's riches, metals being traditionally related to buried treasure. However, her 8 treasures, like those of Chakravarti, are in fact the 8 chief emblems of the gods, symbols both their powers of universal manifestation. So it says, because she rides upon a ram, Kavera has been compared with Argonaut's golden fleece. another buried treasure. Generally speaking, these treasures are symbols of knowledge and immortality, the spiritual storehouses which can only be reached after a perilous quest. Lastly, that they are guarded by dragons and by monsters. See, all that represents those fears and doubts that we have. That's the real dragon and the monster. You see? Same as that with a devil. They don't exist outside, they exist within you, which are images of those dangerous psychic entities to which one is in danger of falling victim unless one has the necessary qualifications or has taken the proper precautions. It says the treasure generally lies deep in some cavern or buried underground. Its position symbolizes the difficulties inherent in its quest, but above all, the fact that human effort is essential. The treasure is not freely given by heaven and is only to be found at the end of a long series of ordeals. This bears witness to the fact that the buried treasure is a spiritual and moral, and that these ordeals are battles with monsters, with the elements, and with robbers along the road below, like obstacles themselves to the moral and spiritual order. The buried treasure is a symbol of the inner life, and the monsters which guard it are none other than aspects of ourselves. So we give honors to your family, for coming forth. And we say gratitude. And at this time, we're going to call on our Moorish officials. And we'll start by calling on our beloved goddess and queen, Sister Alceta Moon El, Grand National Secretary of the State, Assistant Grand National Secretary of the State. Are you there, Sister Alceta?
Islam National Sister Grand Sheikh. At this time, the goddess is on a mission.
Okay, all is well. All is well.
Gratitude, peace, and love.
Gratitude and peace and love. Well, all right. Let us call forth then our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Kanshu Ma'ak Herube. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Islam.
Islamism without the schism.
Gratitude, Grand One. Call us forth. We rise, giving our thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to our Baba God Allah, great God of the universe, the most beneficent and the most wise. And we give the highest honors that we can give to his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honor to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honor to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live according to Act 6. We give honor to the officials of this said government, our divine ministers and our swift angels, our mufti, our royal council and secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag, our divine constitution and bylaws, our holy Quran, our Grand National Seal and Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the Illumine of a Nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honor to you, that's no Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Sadu Amiti and Medu Shepsuir, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective this evening. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us. To our Moorish kin that will speak after us, we give honors to you, angels. We just continue to give the honors are due, and honoring all true and divine prophets. And we give honors to our ancestors as they have come before us, leading the way, and we are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descent nature. And praise Allah for that. And it's been a grand class and a grand ayat as subject matter to draw off of. We know that he gives to the understanding of the treasures of Allah, and that he gives to each a portion that one deemeth good unto themselves. And that's very powerful in understanding that, Allah is never going to overburden you. Allah is never going to give you more than you can handle. And this is why part of the reason why we should know that we can always make it through, that there is no challenge, there is no turmoil that's beyond our beyond our overcoming, because Allah will never give you, a portion that's greater than, you can recognize yourself, that is seemeth good unto yourself. And so we recognize that we can move through the challenges quickly or slowly, depending on how we draw with our will. And this, to me, is a very important understanding, like I said, because once again, it reminds one that man is his own God and his own devil. That Allah never created a heaven or hell for man, that we are the creators and create our own through our works, acts, and deeds, and our thought pattern. And so, to get to the understanding of treasures, and we are as rich as we understand. Even to this point where we're at now, like we come out of a state of the NBC thought pattern, being subservient and only knowing the role, second class, less than, or step child type of mentality, because of what has been taught to us. But as we have continued to gain that small, substantial historical base that Willie Lynch paper talks about, that brings about a correction to the mind, we get to see things now in a new perspective, or in a right perspective. And that brings a whole another drawing. It's kind of like, you get one a book and it's upside down. They ain't going to be able to draw, but if you turn it up right side up, then they'll be able to get the message. And it's really depending on the perspective of how one looks at something. I remember at school they had these like illusion drawings. So one way was like an old lady with a hat, something on it, and if you flipped it upside down, it became like a horse or something else like that. And so, once again, it's all in the perspective, it's all in the understanding of what we're drawing on. And once we continue to understand that man is 5/5, that we don't classify ourselves as being 3/5 of a person, that we got our nationality and our divine creed to complete us, and we represent, or we move in the aspect of autonomy, saying that we are a nation of people, and we decide to take care of our own, teach our own, reach our own. And now, with that understanding of national movement or national drawing, it truly brings about the treasures. It truly brings about now a more understanding of the importance of family. It brings now an understanding or greater drawing of the duties in the household for the husband and for the wife and for the children. It brings about, a clear drawing of the degrees that one got to go through in his divine ministry in order to be able to reach the people and reach oneself. And so those are part of those gifts of understanding. And it's only given to one, or a portion is only given to one when they are ready for it, when it seems good unto themselves. This is why, we look at the lesson that teaches us that man God today is tomorrow's not his God, because as he unfolds, his God unfolds. And so, one day the God might be wrathful, another day the God is beneficent and merciful, only because of how one looks at the understanding of what that God is. But when we draw up the fact that God, Allah is all, omnipotent and omniscient, or omnipresent, we see that that's a ever expanding thought pattern. That's something that can only multiply and add and multiply to it to continue to move in an infinite direction. And when we see that, we see the positive nature of that. We see the abundant nature of that. We see the giving nature of that. And then with that understanding, we can receive We have moved out of the ideal of lack, ideal of not having enough to make things happen, of not having enough smarts in order to understand things, of not having enough people with us to move upon our ideals. And we'll move from that lack thought pattern into a thought pattern of abundance and say, we got what we need. Because Allah believes on the victory is sure. We got enough smarts because, as the prophet said, he gonna make them Europeans stop thinking. And if you move with that science of the mastermind, you can do the same. We can understand that it's not the quantity of people that you have, it's the quality. So it's not that we need 10 million to get things done. All you need is a strong, like that demonstration for those who've seen that 300, he was talking to the Greeks, the Athenians. They was like, well, y'all done brought 3,000 people, I done brought 300. And he asked them, well, what are your jobs? What is your job? One was like, I'm a potter. One was like, I'm a philosopher. He said, well, you done brought all these. I done brought 300 killers with me, 300 soldiers. He said, I got more soldiers on my side in the 300 than you got in the 3,000. And that's, like I said, that's the importance of the quality. Because you don't need the massive numbers if you got the correct quality and virtues within one to make things happen. Because we know that they say in the world where the blind lead the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So, there's going to be a million blind people, but that one person that can see, even with half the vision, is still enough to rule. And so, we draw that, we have what we need. We got all we need. We got Allah with us. We got our ancestors with us, and they're moving and acting in a way that's blessing us and multiplying and adding to what we have. And it's just something that we have to be grateful for, to remember that the portion that you got now is not the only portion you're going to get, but it's what you get now, because that's what is good for you at this point. And Allah and man himself can only discern what is good for themselves. We can't upon that. I don't care, like some of the organizations where you can't feed the baby state trying to make the decision for you whether or not you are worthy or not for the information. And it's not up to them, not up to anyone outside the self to draw on whether or not your understanding is there. It's all about yourself and Allah, because Allah will clear the heart and the mind so that things can be understood. So gratitude for the class and gratitude to you, Morris America, for being here with us and giving us your time and respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
Islam and peace, and we love you right back, Grand Mufti. And that's exactly what we was demonstrating too, because if you notice, out of all those different things that was invented by the Moors, it was one individual that demonstrated. And we see all that on the manifest right now, and then everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, in unity there's strength. So that's a powerful drawing though. Most of the time when somebody be great, it's one individual following this, and then everybody else follow suit. So, man, Islamism without the schism. Can't get strength from weak sources. All right. But let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Shepsu Rakat Ma'at and Pooh, Tutankhamun Bay. Islam, you there, Goddess and Queen?
Islam closes the thought. Grand class. Gratitude.
Islamism without the schism. We love you.
We love you as well. Islam Morris Kin. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, with angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish Kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America for opening our Media According to Law. Also hosting this brand Moorish Perspectives class this evening, Dr. Shedo Amenti and Mohamed Chepsewell. Giving a special honor to our National Brand Secretary, State of Indiana, Dr. Sayanati New Hekaru L, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. We're looking at, as our subject, Ayat 1, dealing with the holy instructions of unity, the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and He appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. And this was such a grand class, also giving honor to our family online. As I was reflecting on a class, you brought forth so many keys, Dr. Shaheen, and for me, once we come into the realization of who we are as being God, the spirit and the part of the great God Allah, that we do have a nationality and divine creed, there is nothing that we can't do. And if you believe that you are born in sin, or if you believe that you're not worthy and things of that nature, then you're already burnt up from the start, because thought is the cause of it all. So you already cutting yourself off at the knees when you put limitations on yourself. And this is the whole point of indoctrination, to keep us so dumbed down and thinking low and hateful of ourselves. And of course, that's going to extend to those that look like us. That brings about, a lack of trust, and the prophet speaks to us about support, patronage, and encouragement of one another. Those things are natural to us, not, constantly competing against one another or hating on one another, being jealous or what have you. And see, this whole chapter puts it unity from a divine perspective. So why get irate and upset at someone else that is out there doing the work when all of these gifts and treasures have been given to us by Allah? You've got to find your own. So when we look at it from the aspect of, which was very powerful, consumer versus creator, we are creators and create our own. But what is it that we're spending time in creating? Are we creating hellish conditions for ourselves, with negative thinking? Or are we asking ourselves the question, how can I be of a benefit to my people? Or what does my nation need? What talents can I bring forth to aid and assist my nation? Why is it necessary that we unify? Well, you see that in our unity is our strength. And when you envision a nation, looking like you, supporting one another, being about their father's business, learning how to demonstrate in harmony and peace. This is what our ancestors left for us. This is what our Creator is speaking about, and this is what our prophet brought back to us. So, when you've been enslaved mentally for so long, and you pass these things on to your children and your children's children to continue on that negative downward spiral or that negative cycle, that's not being of a benefit. So we've got to demonstrate that paradigm shift and walk out on faith, that which we know is true. And if man would know, he must himself be what he knows. So for us to be able to recognize that, it is possible to be a nation of people. Open the mind up and stop limiting the self. It takes strength, it takes courage, it takes fortitude, it takes studying. Recognizing the fact that, if this is what I want to do, then let me do it. I know that my nation needs it. Going out there on Front Street, because we are the ones that we have been waiting for. So we can't afford any longer to look outside of the self and wait for somebody else to make the first move. Because I don't want to be in that demonstration when you have the fourth generation, our children and grandchildren. You mean to tell me you had the lessons of the prophets and nobody did anything? Because I can remember asking that question. Why didn't anybody tell me this? And that's a bad feeling when the majority of your life you have been lied to, indoctrinated, and you don't have a clue. Because they say ignorance is bliss. It is not. And you pay for that when you don't know. So, just in closing, there is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. So we've got to stop getting out of that, and we've got to stop being in the mindset that, ooh, nation is a bad word. Our people can't never do anything. Our people will never come together. Well, here in the West, they think that, for example, polygamy is something, ooh, can't have two women in the kitchen, and all these kind of fallacies that we latch onto and make it a part of ourselves. And a lot of times we don't even realize that we're carrying around a lot of negative baggage. So this is the necessity for being able to note our own strengths and weaknesses. Where are you weak at? And that's what you need to work on, and unfold and grow, because this is what is natural to us, being the Lord of the plane of things made manifest, being the Lord of the plane of soul. You can't be the Lord of anything as long as you continue to let outside elements and your own negative thinking cut you off at the knees. So we've got to stand strong. We've got to recognize what our purpose is. You did a grand measure when you were speaking about predetermination. We're the ones that said we had to come back here because we had work to do. So what are we doing? We can't afford to keep mocking time and get taken off by the count. Literally through this thought pattern, okay, and also physically, because we have opened the door for that degree. So it's time to shut that door of foolishness, naught, and folly, and step up and take our place in the affairs of men. So, this is just a blessing and an honor. Much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed, for this grand class, this grand measure. And if nothing else that we can take from this is that we are a grand and glorious people, and we come from a source of divinity. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. It's all.
And Islamism, Grand National Secretary of the State, that's right. That's a very powerful measure. And like you said, we just got to be the ones on the front line, to get it done. Like you say, don't be worried about. That's the main thing. Our people got all the talent, but they got to be willing to utilize it. So, man, that's powerful. So, okay, at this time, since we already there, we already know the front door. Oh, we're going to call for our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acton Pert M. Heru Tut the Coming Bay. Islam, Grand Man.
Islam back at you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and clear with divine ears. The ethers vibrate.
Praise the Lord. Man, it's a wonderful thing to be able to give praises to Allah and our Prophet Noble Ali, and so much honor to Noble Ali, the last prophet of these days and time, the angel of Allah that was sit there and brought us everything that it takes to save a nation. And when you think about all what we had to go through slavery, and oh man, and then the prophet brought us the divine constitution, brought us our own flag, the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. He brought us a 5-point and let us know exactly what the 5 points of the star represent. He let us know about the divinity and the grand seal of the Moorish American government, the nation, and how important the Circle 7 is. Oh man, we are so honored, more, so blessed. And it's an honor and a blessing to know each and every one of you, because each and every one of you come together to make one nation, one government, one divinity. The grace of Allah being manifested here in human form. So you're the honor and the blessing, more. So this is what I gotta say. I'm so pumped up right now. Well, we love you. Islamism without a schism. Peace.
Islamism. That's a grand measure, Chairman. Yes, sir. We definitely follow that same thought and vibration. Praise be to Allah. Oh, man. Let's see if our National Grand Sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael, is on the phone as well. We know the Sheikh got a grand drawing if you're there. Islam, you there, Grand Sheikh?
Close to the dog, Angel.
Islam, well, we glad that the Prophet brought you. Islam.
Islam, right.
Islam, Sheik.
Give a lot of praise.
Okay,
Islam,
pardon, says Sheik. Pardon about it. I was just trying to make show too. You got that other apparatus the other day.
Islam.
Okay, Islam, grand man.
I was gonna call you after class
Oh,
about that.
okay, Islam.
Islam, major. Once again, we give a lot of praise, homage to his love, thought, and his industrious ways. One who went across the boards, no, he brought us the divine elements of all. Our brother man, Prophet Noble Ali, brought us everything it takes for us to be free. Thank you, Prophet, and honors to our bishops and our staff, our grand mufti, Bishop Rick Mufti, Grand Mufti Court, divine ministers, student ministers alike, everything of a Moorish history, everything of a Moorish mystery. It has been a grand demonstration. Sheik carried it in the corners of the mind, had us open up that place where the treasures of Allah is buried, and went into that treasure trove and came out with lots of wisdom and showed us the blessings of Allah and how we can take these blessings and make them applicable to the nation of the earth. This nation, this only earth. These people who are from the everlasting of the past. These people who are here today in this never-ending day to come. And to the fact that we can build this demonstration by being faithful and dutiful in what we set out to do, and not drag our feet, so to speak, and wait on somebody else to do it. And so I sure appreciate you setting that out. And Dr. John Shue set out a very powerful demonstration. We talk about as part of 300. And it really don't take a whole lot. That was the gist of it. You know, it takes one who is serious, who's sincere, and one who lacks fear, but yet still wants to get everything done. Because if one see that you're making a move, they'll come and they'll aid and assist. So this is what we're saying, and we pray for to allow that one will come on to manifest and give Prophet his dues, everything that he is due, and everything that he has brought on to manifest for us to use as a people. Long live Moorish America. Islam. Thank you, Sheikh. January 15, 1929, a warning from the Prophet. Read at every meeting. Now you're back and forth all citizens to us head on radical hashtag speeches while they're working the hold on streets. We are for peace and not destruction. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to your kids. It causes confusion. Remember, your cards for your salvation. Made your baby's heart severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these criminals violate justice, they will take its course. Any citizen, group of citizens, over disability, for the government, all the profit, all violations, covered in the wars movement, we receive their rewards from a lot of good unjust deeds. All true wars will and must have been lawless they got by the prophet. They lose confidence in the prophet. They should turn in their card and button. Just when it turns to affairs and turns to state where I am the prophet found you. This is a holy divine movement. Founded by the prophet over Ali, and the prophet is not right. The government is not right. The prophet therefore said not to the divine plea to our Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is the everlasting move founded by the prophet whose will of Allah to redeem the people from their sinful ways by all the prophets of Ali. This divine warning is supreme laws now and will be enforced by the said government thereby. Islam. All the government of the Asiatic government. All the government of the Asiatic government. Young children went by the 4 by the scared
tribulation. And this care be continued to you all and your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This means flows according to Act 2 of the land Constitution and love, you, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, Moors. Much love to you. Long live Moorish America. Peace. Great clan, National Assistant Grand Sheik Dr. A. Service. Great class. Love all you Moors.
Great class.
You do.
Gratitude,
Great clan.
This session is no longer recorded.
We love you, Moors. Great class. Assistant Grand Sheik.
Grand class.
Islam. We love you.
Peace and love,
Great in the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
That's right.
Grand class, grand man.
Islam.
Noble Drew Ali. Come to set us all free.
Love you with love and divinity, Moors. Islamism. Don't let nobody tell you
Divine
nothing
blessing with
we
a
love you.
divine dressing.
Right. Islam. Want to give honors to our family out there in the YouTube world. Honors to all of you for your support and gratitude. We love you. Peace and love.
Peace and love, man.